Welcome to the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project Stay Healthy at Home webinar series, September 22nd, and this is multiple choice, Q&A on supported decision making. So as always, on your control panel, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to type them in the questions box. Frankie's here to assist with any technical issues. And if I don't get to your question during the webinar, that we answer all the questions within 24 hours. I also want to let you know that you have two handouts in the control panel as well. One are the resources for this slide. It's a PDF. You can take that with you. And the other one is a PDF of the slides. So that is also available for you to take with you. Introduction. My name is Erin Smithers. I'm the Information and Referral Coordinator of the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project. And NJSAP has been a division-funded program of the ARC of New Jersey since 1983. We support the state's largest network of individual self-advocates and self-advocacy groups. We also provide comprehensive trainings and resources to self-advocates, direct support professionals, and agency personnel. Today, we're going to discuss what supported decision-making is, help you understand how you can pick your supporters for supported decision-making, and also how to communicate your needs. But first, let's start with a little poll. We're actually going to start with two polls. So the first one is, when you finished high school, the options are took a gap year, started college, took independent classes, started working right away, or other. And if it's other, just feel free to put it in the questions box. We have 50% say started college, 36% said they started working right away, and 14% said other. So we have one more poll. You get a bad headache and you start to feel sick. What do? Would you go to the emergency room? Would you take some medicine? Would you make a doctor's appointment? Or would you do something else? So it looks like 91% said take medicine and 9% said other. So honestly, the questions I was asking you aren't what's important, but I want you to think about the choices that you were able to make. So some of these choices, a lot of people who have guardians don't get to make their own choices. There's rules in place with Danielle's law that if certain things happen, you have to go to the emergency room. Even if it might not personally be something I would go to the emergency room for, there's rules set in place that people have to go. With guardians, again, you don't really get to make that choice about just maybe taking some Advil when you get a headache, or when you're at the doctor's office, making your own decisions based on what the doctor tells you. So I want you to think about these choices as we go through this webinar. Who approves the choices that you make? Is there someone that has to approve them? Do you have full control over your choices? Like I said, a lot of times people who have a guardian don't have control over a lot of their choices and their decisions. And then also think about who has input in your choices, as in if you have a big decision to make, do you make that solely on yourself, or do you reach out to other people, maybe people who are more experienced in that field, or someone you trust and you value their advice? Do you reach out to them, someone like a parent or a friend? So just think about this as we go along. And let's start with a basic supported decision-making 101. So supporteddecisions.org, their website is on the bottom and also in the resource page, has a lot of fantastic information about supported decision-making, SDM. And they explain supported decision-making as allowing individuals with disabilities to make their own choices about their own lives with support from a team of people that they choose. Individuals with disabilities choose people they know and trust to be a part of a support network to help with decision-making, whether it's Big decisions or small ones? Big ones like what to do after high school, or small ones like I have a headache and what should I do with that? So we're going to watch this video from the ARC of Indiana, who actually has supported decision making as a legal option for individuals, but they just explain supported decision making very succinctly. So we're going to watch this.
Supported decision-making is something that we all use in our own lives all the time. It's the idea of going to people you know, people you trust, going to experts to gather information to help you make a decision. As a concept, supported decision-making can be used as a support structure, it can be used as an alternative to guardianship, or it can be used in conjunction with guardianship. When you call your best friend to talk over some news your doctor gave you to try to figure out what to do next, that's supported decision-making. When you're looking to make a purchase and you're reading the online reviews, that's supported decision-making. When you're looking for a plumber and you go to the Better Business Bureau, then you get some opinions from those plumbers about what's wrong and how they suggest fixing it. That's all supported decision-making. We all use supported decision-making in our own lives. For someone with a disability, supported decision-making can make a huge difference. It's a great way to ensure self-determination. Research shows that individuals who maintain self-determination and who continue to make decisions over their own lives enjoy a better quality of life and a longer life. And frankly, you can start supported decision-making at any time. The younger you start, the better. If you establish supported decision-making as part of that decision-making routine, then you'll always sit down and discuss options together. But as someone is learning to make decisions, it's a good way to teach them how to make decisions. What are the issues and questions we need to consider? Who can I get that information from? And how do we evaluate that information? As they've learned how to make decisions, it's a good way to help keep communication open and talk things over. And frankly, you can be using supported decision-making over big things and over small. What do we want to eat? What do we want to wear? But when it comes to those bigger decisions, what type of job do you want to do? What type of medical treatment do you need? Do you understand your healthcare needs? That's where supported decision-making can be a huge influence. Now, supported decision-making is not substituted decision-making. The person makes the decisions themselves, and it's not coerced decision-making. It's honoring the individual's decision, even if you don't agree with it. We all know people whose decisions we disagree with, but we recognize that it's their decision to make. The same for a person with a disability. Supported decision-making can be used as an alternative to guardianship, but it can also be used in conjunction with guardianship, so that even if a person is under guardianship, they still have some say in their own lives. Recently, Indiana became the 7th state in the country to formally recognize supported decision-making as an alternative to guardianship. You can use the concept of supported decision-making with anyone, but with a formal supported decision-making agreement, it's putting everything in writing. So it identifies what area a person may need decision-making support in. It identifies who is part of the decision-making team. It identifies what topics a person may be providing support on. So for example, Aunt Anne may be the person you go to for medical matters because Aunt Anne's a nurse. It also identifies how that decision-making relationship will work, but most importantly, it confirms the individual's exclusive right to make decisions. That's one of the biggest reasons behind supported decision-making agreements. It confirms the individual's exclusive right to make decisions, and it restores the presumption of equality. For example, how often have you taken a person with a disability or even an aging parent to the doctor? And instead of talking to their patient, the doctor talks to the person who came with them. That's why supported decision-making agreements are important, because it restores that presumption of equality and makes sure that people are talking to the individual who actually is the one to make the decision. Supported decision-making agreements can also be adjusted at any time to reflect the individual's needs and wishes and reflect any changes that they may need. So whether we're talking about a formalized written agreement or using supported decision-making as a concept in everyday life, supported decision-making is an important tool to make sure people with disabilities have as much say over their own lives as possible.
So that is a very good explanation of supported decision-making. That was specifically for Indiana. As you said, it is a formal, as she said, it's a formal substitution for guardianship. However, New Jersey is not quite there yet, but it looks like we're on that path. Supported decision making is becoming more in the forefront, and a lot of bills are going to be going out that involve supported decision making as an alternative to guardianship. However, even if you have a guardian, you can still use supported decision making in your life. So the ARC of Indiana, and their website is on the bottom here, also has a lot of very valuable information on supported decision making. And I took this quote and I just want to read it. Supported decision making is one more alternative, another tool in the toolbox, and would be the least restrictive option, enabling people to use their own support systems and family to obtain information and make decisions instead of having someone else make decisions for them. So it's just very important when it's your life, being able to make those decisions is incredibly valuable. And it adds so much to just being more independent in your life. So one of my favorite things about supported decision making is that it can be tailored to fit any lifestyle. So like we talked about, you can use it in along with guardianship, especially in New Jersey. You can use this for small things. It doesn't even have to be something so formal, but when you think about it, like she said in the video, everybody uses a form of SDM to make decisions in their life. So we're going to go over the 3 main ways that you can incorporate supported decision making into your life. So the first one is as a part of a support structure, and the second one is an alternative to guardianship, and the third is in conjunction with guardianship. So part of a support structure, you're bringing in supported decision making to help teach or learn how to make your own choices. This includes responsibilities, consequences that come with making choices. So a lot of times this is used for someone who is younger, they're learning how to make decisions. They might not necessarily actually even be younger, but someone who's learning to make their own decisions, you start incorporating supported decision making in their life so that they understand the responsibilities that come with making decisions and the consequences that also come with making your own choices. And again, an alternative to guardianship, which is not quite yet available in New Jersey, but this is instead of having a guardian, you understand and assume the responsibilities and consequences for making your own decisions. You also recognize that these decisions are something that are not coerced from other people, and the people that you have in your life will not be biased. You also, again, just like if it's part of your support structure, you need to learn all the aspects of the process of making decisions, making completely informed decisions, and how to get that information so that you know you are making the best choice available for you. And lastly, in conjunction with guardianship, which you can do here, your guardian works with you. Very important. They're not making decisions for you. Some areas they might still hold that guardianship power where they are maybe in finances able to make decisions for you, but with other things, and that's when supported decision making really comes in handy because you can fit it and mold it into your life to form something that really works for you. Again, it's important to note, though, that supported decision-making does not replace formal substitute decision-making legal structures, such as advanced healthcare directives, power of attorney, and again, guardianship in New Jersey. So we kind of know what supported decision-making is. Now let's learn how to pick the people you put in your support group. So your support group could be members of your family, your friends, staff, aides, or assistants. You could also have doctors or nurses or professionals, meaning people in a profession like a lawyer, a mechanic, a plumber. If I need help with something, that's who I'm going to reach out to as well. And your support group can change for each decision. So you could have a sole person always be a part of your support group, someone that you really trust, maybe a parent, or a staff member that you really have, worked with for a very long time and they know you. But then the other people in your support group are flexible. So if my car breaks down, I'm going to add a mechanic to, that support group because they know about cars, I do not. I always talk to my dad about big decisions I'm making, and I really value his advice. So he would definitely be a member of my support group. You just want to make sure you're having informed individuals with relevant information in regards to that decision. So if I'm, having car trouble, I'm not going to go to my doctor to ask for help. If I'm trying to decide what classes to enroll in, a lawyer, really isn't going to help me unless maybe that's the profession I want to go into. So your support group should change with each major decision. You also want to have people who will assist in making decisions. These are not people who are going to make decisions for you. So you want to have someone who, like in the video, she said, honors your decision even if they don't agree with it. That's huge. So your support group should include trust, communication, honesty, and confidence. So these are all extremely important aspects of decision making, and you need to have this with the people that you bring into your support group. So trust, obviously, someone that you trust, someone whose advice that you trust, someone who knows you is very helpful. You need to also trust that these people have your best interest at heart and they're going to do what is right for you instead of what they think you should do or what is right for them. Communication is huge, and I'm going to talk more in depth about that later, but communication is so important because you need to communicate exactly what you want, what you need, what decisions you are trying to make, what you need support with. So communication is just so important, and communication's very important in pretty much any aspect of your life, right? With employment, with relationships, with familial relationships or friendships. Just communication is so valuable, and that's a skill that you can continue to work on for your whole life. I feel that honesty and confidence kind of go hand in hand. So in order to have a proper support group, you have to be completely honest with them. And I know sometimes it can be really hard to talk about things with certain people, like maybe talking about your relationship with your family or your parents. That can be a little difficult. But if they're a part of your support group, then you need to be completely honest and open about what it is you want, how you really feel, and this includes giving them feedback about what they're saying too. And then just being open about the goals that you want in your life and what kind of help you want to get that. And you have to have confidence to do that. So you need that confidence to speak up for yourself and to let people know, this is what I want, this is how I want to go about it. What do you think? You have to have that confidence to tell someone, I don't agree with your decision. This is what I think I'm going to do. And that can be kind of hard, especially against, if you're talking to a parent who maybe has different ideas than you still have to have that confidence to speak up for yourself so you can make your own decisions. So here are some tools for supported decision making. Plain language. In order to make a good decision, you have to clearly understand everything that is involved in it. So asking for plain language information or materials in visual or audio form can really help you understand all aspects of what it means to make your decision on your own with supports from outside. Extra time is also important. If you are limited in time, you might not be able to talk about everything that you need to talk about or go over all of those consequences and responsibilities that come with whatever decision you're making. So you always want to make sure if you're going to have kind of like a sit down session where you're talking to other people, asking for support or advice on a certain topic, make sure you have plenty of time to kind of talk about your plan A, but also plan B, plan C, and everything that entails all of that. So role playing can really also help you visualize what is in involved in making that decision. Role-playing activities can help people understand their choices and prepare for other outcomes. So when we think of role-playing, we think of physically, like I'm going to be you and you pretend to be the doctor, and we're going to physically act out what would happen. But role-playing can also just be having someone say, well, what would you do if this happened? Or how would you feel if this was the outcome? And just making someone think outside of their normal thinking box and think about other things that might happen so they are prepared for what comes next or what could come next. And making lists is next on the list. That is my favorite thing to do. I make so many lists. Lists can be listing out the pros and cons for, a decision and going that way, whatever looks better on paper. To-do lists. So if we use the example of my car breaking down, I'll have a list of to-dos that I need to do in order. Get my car towed, and then go to the mechanic, find how much he wants to charge me, talk to my dad because my dad does know about cars and see if that price is reasonable. Then I would have to check my finances. So there's steps in pretty much every decision you make. So having a visual to-do list where maybe you can check things off or just see what you need to do can be really helpful. And then reusable information lists. That's something that a lot of people already use without even knowing it. So having, a list somewhere that contains informations of what to do in certain situations. So emergency numbers, doctor's numbers, poison control number. A lot of people have those magnets on their fridge. That's a reusable information list. So having something like that available can also help you make decisions on your own without even reaching out to someone. If it's already laid out for you for something that might happen a lot, then you already have that support at your fingertips. So visuals, super helpful for a lot of people. Visually helping someone see their choices and the consequences or responsibilities that come with that. So an example of this would be maybe you want to buy a very expensive computer system, and visually seeing how much money you have in your account and then visually seeing how much money would be in your account afterwards can really help you make that decision. Is it worth it? You know how much money you have, you know how you work to get that money, you know how long it took for you to get that money. So visually seeing that money come out can really help you decide on whether if you should get that really expensive computer system or maybe something a little less expensive, or maybe you don't need it at all. And then assistive technology, we can go very heavily into assistive technology. I actually have a whole other webinar that we've done on our website you can check out on assistive technology and how they can help people live a more independent life. But for supported decision making, a few right off the top are apps you can use for quick and easy communication. So you can communicate with your support team and they're pretty much on call for you whenever you need them, right? With a text, with a phone call, with email. If you have a smartphone with apps like that, they're at your fingertips whenever you need help. Computer programs, again, there's a lot of really fantastic financial computer programs out there to help gain financial independence, to help monitor your spending, help you save more. So there's a lot of computer programs just in that area alone. And then smart speakers, things like Apple Home, Amazon Echo, and Google, they all have smart speakers. These can help you keep track of your lists. You can add to the list just by saying, Alexa, add this to my list. You can also take notes. Some will record conversations so that you can refer back to them later on. So if someone's giving you advice and you're like me and you tend to forget things, if you're not writing it down, they can record it and you can listen to it back later. But also, smart speakers are basically the internet at your voice, right? Not at your fingertips, at your voice. So if you have questions about things, you can also just ask and you'll most likely get a very explanative answer. Sometimes it might be a lot more information than you're asking for, but usually just asking any question can help. So with the example of my car breaking down, I can ask, how much is a muffler on Amazon, and kind of get a base price. And then that can help me decide if maybe the mechanic is overcharging me or undercharging me. And I can use my smart speaker as a part of my support team. So now let's talk about communication. Again, such a huge part of any relationship. And with supported decision making, you need to be able to tell other people and the people in your team what you need in order to get support. Because you have to remember that no one is a mind reader, right? And if they don't know you need help, they're not going to be able to help you. So speaking up and telling people what you want is basically the biggest part of supported decision making. And then supported decision making just does not work if you don't talk about your decisions and ask for support. A lot of people will talk about what they are having trouble with, but you don't necessarily ask for advice. So if someone knows that you're looking for support and you're looking for advice, their advice might be more well thought out, might be more research going into the advice that they give you. But also it can be hard to talk about what you need and to ask for help. So some points to gain some confidence are maybe practicing what you want to say in the mirror ahead of time, like repeating it over and over again can kind of take away any nerves that you'll have about talking about this, because it's just going to be second nature and it's just going to come out. But also something else you could do to get more confidence to help you speak and ask for help is maybe preparing some talking points ahead of time. So talking points can help you feel more confident when communicating because everything is already listed there. You already took the time to think about everything that you want to ask for support for, everything that you're having trouble with, things that you're going through, how you're feeling. All of that can be right there. Also, if it's written down and you really are struggling to get the words out and to talk to someone, you can always give them that paper and they can read it, and that can be the jumping off point for where you start to form your support team. They understand how you're feeling, they understand what you're going through, and they understand how to offer support. And coercion has no place in supported decision making, but you still might have to speak up for yourself in a situation where others might not agree with you. So be prepared to remind people that you are there and making your own decisions. You are only asking for advice or support. You're not asking for them to make the decision for you. And again, this takes confidence, especially if you're talking to a parent who maybe you might be used to making your decisions for you. So it takes a lot of confidence to tell them that you don't need them to make the decision for you. You can do it on your own. And there's very respectful ways to do this as well. But it's very important because supported decision making is just about speaking up for yourself and making your own choices. So you don't want someone to make choices for you. You also want to keep that trust and that honesty and having those open conversations. So you should be very upfront with how you feel, how the conversation's making you feel. So later, if you ask for their help again, you can have another open conversation and they'll know, because you set the boundary, that you're only asking for advice, you're only asking for support. They'll already know, okay, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna try really hard not to inject my personal opinions and just offer advice because that's what this person wants. So now we're going to talk about how you can get started to form your own support team with supported decision making. So, the first piece of advice, again, I know I said this a lot, but you need to advocate. You need to speak up for yourself, and you need to let people know what you want, what you're looking for, what's the outcome you want, and that you want to make your own decision. So supporteddecisions.org also has this fantastic blueprint for supported decision making. So the steps are, the first step is identify areas where support is needed. So again, your support team can change from decision to decision. So you really need to understand where you need support, and that's kind of knowing about your weaknesses. So with me, again, if we're going to go with the car example, I know really almost nothing about cars. I know a few things, but not enough where I would feel confident enough to make decisions on my own. So I know that that's one area where I definitely need support. Then you want to make sure you're choosing the right supporting team. And we're going to go over that next, but you want to have the right people on your team that are going to help you make the right decisions. You want to make sure that the supporters you pick to be on your team commit to providing unbiased and quality assistance. Again, they're not making decisions for you. They're just providing advice or support for you to make your own decision. And the last step is that an agreement is executed. So in a more formal setting, there would be an actual kind of contract that would be written up where your support team would write down how they're going to help you. You would write down what you're going to do and then what you hope the outcome is, and then everybody signs it at the bottom. So it's kind of written all out and you understand what your role is. Everybody understands what their individual roles are and how they can help. While New Jersey doesn't have a legally binding supported decision-making contract, this is still something that you can execute in your life to help you start making your own decisions about maybe, starting on a smaller scale and then going to a bigger scale. So something like a class you want to take, or getting a car, or going to get your license, or getting an apartment, things like that. This is all something that you could use, even though it's not technically legally binding. It's still something that's written out and in plain language for everybody to see what their expectations are. And then a blueprint for the support team. So this is what you want to make sure everyone in your support team has. You want to make sure it is someone who trusts you, someone who you trust. So someone that they know you, someone who knows your values, your goals, your will, and your preferences. So someone who really knows you. It doesn't matter the length of time, because you could meet someone who you just get along with so well and you guys just share your history. They know your goals for the future, but it should be someone who knows the real you, what you really, really want. And the next one is provides unbiased information. Again, super, super important. You want someone who's going to present the facts only, the pros and the cons, and someone who helps understand the ramifications of your choices. So someone who will know how you might react to something, someone who can kind of foresee something. That advice is going to be extremely valuable. You want someone who abides by your will, someone who understands that someone who will help you express your decisions based on what your preferences are. So again, someone who really knows what you want out of life, what your goals are, and what kind of life you want to live. You definitely want someone who respects your autonomy, because that is the whole point of supported decision making, right? That you can make your own choices, that you are your own person. So you want to have someone who will honor the decisions that you make and will support you no matter what happens. Create a network. So you want to create this network of people that you can kind of tap information out of whenever you need it. And also, when you start making your own decisions and choices, you become the person that interacts with the world of commerce, the world of medicine, education, and community. So you are the person that talks to your doctor. You are the person that talks to the grocer and does your own shopping. You are the person that is making your own decisions and going out there, instead of having someone in between you and that world, that network. Instead of having someone who talks to your doctor for you, you are the one that is out there. You are the face of your decisions. So you want to create that network that is there. So if you need support in any area, it's already there. People know you, people know what you want, and they are available to help. And then you want someone who's going to promote self-determination. So just again, remembering that you are an agent of your own change. You decide what you want and how you're going to get it with this support. So some quick tips. Listen, think, and listen again. This is really kind of important. You are picking your support team and you're picking them for a reason. So it's important that you take the time to really listen to what they're saying. You picked them maybe because you trust them or because they're experienced and knowledgeable in the area you need support in. So you might, it might be a little hard to sit and get advice that you don't want to hear, but just try to remember you picked these people on your team for a reason. So listen, think about what they have to say, listen, and then you can express, how you're feeling and how, if that works for you, if you agree with them, and then go from there. But I think that can be the hardest part of supported decision making is getting that outside advice when you might already have your mind set. So kind of have that open mind to really soak in the advice that you're getting. You want to identify opportunities and challenges. So think about what supports you really need and who can help you in that area, who won't help you in that area. Who do you think you might not mesh well for this certain thing? I know certain people get really heated about certain topics and maybe I wouldn't go to them for certain advice. So knowing that their weaknesses and their strengths also can help you make sure you're picking the right team. And then also identify challenges. If a decision is being made and you're unsure, always try to think about if it really aligns with your goals, if it's really something that you want to achieve, or if maybe your time is better spent doing something else. Sometimes it can be really hard to make certain decisions. You don't want to make the wrong one. So talking it out and really thinking about the good and the bad, the opportunities and the challenges can really help you solidify your decision. And then finally, put it in writing. Like I said before, even if it's not a legally binding contract, it's so helpful to have it all put out in writing. So create a written plan, record what types of support your team will give you, record what kind of support you're going to give as well. And then it can help you stay organized and accountable. So if you have any questions, you can go back to that contract, quote unquote contract, and really remind yourself what needs to be done, who's going to help with what. And it also is easier to follow up and follow through. So again, it kind of promotes a to-do list of sorts. So it gives you a track to go on. You have what you need to do written out and it's there, and all you have to do is take that first step and start doing what is on that contract. All right, so here are some examples of supported decision making. The first one is at the doctor's office. And these are videos. We're going to watch 2 videos.
Title screen. How does supported decision-making work at the doctor's office? Dr. Cynthia Peacock.
What I tell the patients is you're making the decisions, but you're just identifying somebody that's going to help you in case you have questions about what you're making a decision about. Sometimes if we're asking Beatrice, it may be complicated. And so I think Beatrice would turn to her aunt to, get some confirmation about it or get some support about how she wants to do her care. It might be a complicated procedure we might be doing, or maybe a medication we want to give her, and she'll need to talk to her aunt about that.
Beatrice.
It doesn't matter what you said. If my aunt says I can make this, if my people told me I have to make a decision, I'm going to make the decision.
Dr. Peacock.
We really try to facilitate, where the patient is at time and how well that they understand what we're trying to ask that they participate in. So we're participating in care plans, healthcare plans. Asking them to participate in their healthcare is giving them quality of care that otherwise they may not have had in the past.
Richard.
One of the problems as an advocate who's represented people with intellectual disabilities is that often medical professionals and mental health professionals don't listen to people with disabilities. And they're basically just telling them what they need to do.
Dr. Peacock.
We had one young man who was given a diagnosis of cancer. He got to make the decisions when and where and how he was going to participate, and when he was going to get his treatments, and what his life was going to be. And I'm going to do basketball before I go get my chemotherapy.
Thelma.
I suggest that doctors and nurses should talk to the individuals, the patient, the one that's coming for the help, instead talking to their supporters.
Dr. Peacock.
An individual with an intellectual disability sometimes can struggle in a doctor's appointment, maybe fearful of what's happening around them. Maybe they weren't given enough time to understand and to participate in the discussion and in the visit. So maybe an individual provider out there has maybe an implicit bias about that individual, thinking that they can't make a decision, and then and makes that decision maybe in a couple of minutes of the visit, and then turns to the family member or the provider that's with them.
Thelma.
The doctors and stuff need to take a step back and talk and take time to listen to the people, because everybody can't talk verbal like me or can't talk as fast.
Dr. Peacock.
If someone has to sit and think about a decision and they have to confer with their family member or who they've anointed as their supportive decision maker, you just may have to leave the room and let them spend time talking about it, go on and see another patient, and then come back.
Thelma.
Maybe they might have speech problem because of their cerebral palsy, or they might had a stroke or whatever that slowed them down. Everything is so fast nowadays, like a computer. They need to take a step back, like typewriter age, and really listen to those who really trying to get their point across and get their voice heard in a lot of other ways.
Dr. Peacock.
Or it may be something you take home and you come back the next day or the next week. There's nothing to say that you can't see that patient again and again, 2, 3, 4 times before that decision is made. I think that that's something that providers don't really think about when it comes to, oh yeah, I could just have them come back and we can talk about it some more. They want that decision there and now, and then we can get on with whatever's going to happen.
Michael.
There's still hard things in decision making. That supported decision making, it makes a lot of it easier, but still intrinsically, some decision making is intrinsically going to be not straightforward and stressing of the person, and difficult to be sure you made the right decision.
Thelma.
Sometimes doctors look at our equipment before they look at us as a human being and a person.
Dawn and Belinda.
We have to give them the opportunity to be a part of the world and take chances and make mistakes and
Fall and get back up.
Beatrice.
When I get older, I have to be making decisions for my kids.
Special thanks to Dawn.
So that was a few people talking about how you can make supported decision making and a support team work for you at the doctor's office. Where from when I've talked to people, I hear a lot that that is not the case when you go to the doctor. You might not feel heard, or you might not feel like you're in control of what is happening to your health with your medication and any procedures you have to go through. So even just talking to the support you bring with you to the doctor's office, letting them know what your plan is for the doctor's visit. They can, if they're then addressed by the doctor instead of, the person, the patient, they're on the same page with you. Everybody's on the same page, and they can help you either advocate for yourself, or they can help get the doctor on the same page as well. So now we're gonna watch a video about how you can have supported decision-making work for you in regards to recreation.
My name is Connor Cummings. I am 28 years old, and I live in Fairfax, Virginia. A big decision for me can change each day. What is big today may be easier tomorrow, or more difficult. I can make many decisions today, and tomorrow, maybe even more. I want to be heard. I deserve to be heard. I think about the decisions that need to be made, and the topic, and I use my feel. Who gives me comfort? Who understands this topic? Who can help me to understand? I always talk or text with my mom. We write business plans to help make decisions. I may also ask Miss Bethany, my Uncle Mike, Miss Nora, or others. My biggest decision so far was whether we go to Disney World. It closed over my birthday, but we also go in December for Christmas. I type up a business plan of pros and cons. I read every day the virus spread, the safety changes, the risks, and the rewards. I reach out to friends that love Disney, Kim and Dave, Miss Nora, Heather, a travel agent who was autistic too, and of course, my mom. Some people gave advice I did not ask for. A few advice was to go, as there will still be magic. That is true, but there is so much more. Flying with a mask on, wearing a mask every day at the park, no hugs with my character friends or pictures. Safety for my mom and me. The cost is the same, but the experience is not. I chose no, not this year. I chose virtual Disney on a computer, sharing the magic with my mom and exercising for our health. I hope we go back in 2021, and I will make that decision.
So that was an awesome way on how you can use a pros and cons list to decide whether the decision you want to make is the right one for you. So now we're going to go into other examples on how you can make supported decision making work for you, for your everyday life. So some examples of SDM in regards to healthcare could be asking for a diagram, or asking the doctor or the nurse to explain something further using plain language, or asking for more time, like they said in the video, to discuss your options so you don't have to give an answer right then and there. For housing, you can have someone you trust tour houses or apartments with you to see if the space can anticipate your needs and wants. So if you have someone who really knows you, knows the things you like to do, you can get their opinion on whether maybe this apartment or this house would be right for you. Contracts. It can be very, very hard to understand contracts. There's a term called legalese, basically how the contracts are written in legal language, and that can be very hard to understand. So if you do have to fill out a contract, you definitely 100% every time you fill out a contract want to make sure that you know what you are signing, especially if you don't have a guardian or you're making your own decisions. Again, you are the face of your decisions. You will be held accountable for the consequences as well. So make sure you understand any contract you're signing. So you could ask a lawyer to better explain the contract, or someone who understands how to read the legal language to help you understand what exactly you're signing. Transportation. So you can develop a relationship with someone who can help you get around. So if you do rely on public transportation or maybe Uber or Lyft, you can stick with one person, develop a relationship with that driver. That way they know, some people don't like to go on highways. Some people like to take back roads only. Some people like to arrive very early. They don't want to sit in traffic. Well, I think that's most people. But if you stick with one person and you start to develop this relationship with that driver, they then become a part of your support team, whether you know it or not, and then they can help you have an easier transportation ride. Education. So discussing options for classes with someone who knows your goals, or if you're already in school or you're still in school, someone or a team of people who can help you at your IEP or ISP meetings. Relationships. Again, huge with communication. The person you're in a relationship with should be a member of your support team in regards to the relationship. So you should have that open communication with the person you're in a relationship with. However, if you're just starting a relationship, you can ask for advice from other people in your life who know you to maybe give you advice on how to proceed in the relationship. There's these unwritten rules a lot of times that come with relationships. A lot of people don't agree with them or don't believe in them. So it's helpful to kind of get an outside perspective on what is going on in your life, especially in a relationship. You could have someone also make sure that your relationship is fair and balanced. It's a lot different looking out than it is on the inside. So sometimes people really value that advice when they're starting out in a relationship with someone. With your career, you can have your employer or your job coach meet regularly to go over problem-solving techniques to resolve any issues that may be going on. This can be a really powerful support team for you. When I used to be a job coach before I became a trainer here, the whole goal was to solve problems before they started. So I really appreciated when the employer would reach out to me, or I would go make regular checks with the employer, and as a team with the employee, we would, make sure they were always on track for maybe promotions or just bonuses, doing well in their job. That is the goal. And lastly, money. So a tool you can use for supported decision making in regards to finances is learning how to manage your money. So you can reach out to financial advisors who can maybe help you with retirement goals, or you can use some of those programs we talked about earlier to help you focus in on areas you might be struggling with in your finances. Maybe your daily spending is too high, you're going over your daily allotted allowance if you have that. So there's a lot of ways that you can use supported decision making to help you with your finances. And then just lastly, just remember, advocate for yourself. Super important. Basically what supported decision making is. You are making your own decisions, you are speaking up for yourself, and you are letting people know what you want, what you need, and how you would like that help. Choose your support wisely. We went over who should be in your support team, so you want to make sure that the people you're bringing in are trustworthy and are going to support you no matter what decision you make. Educate yourself so that you know you're making the right decision. So if you're unsure about something, do a little bit more research. Try to anticipate what might happen with a plan B, a backup plan. Just try to see the whole scenario if you can before making those large decisions. And then, of course, just make your own decisions. Don't be coerced by someone. Don't feel like you're being rude for standing up for yourself. That is what supported decision making is. It's standing up for yourself and making your own decisions. So here are resources. I did add some resources on here where I got information. The ARC of New Jersey Family Institute has a great supported decision making resource page. And then the information I got for daily examples is at the bottom. The ARC of North Virginia has an awesome 3-minute webinars you can go on other topics. So you can find all of that. This is in your handouts. So you can get that right now. It's in PDF form. And then this is my information. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I don't see any questions in the question box. So if anyone does have any questions, you can either contact me privately with my information, or you can just pop it in the questions box. But I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And this will be available on our website in the next few days. Thank you.